Another team that no one really talks about, but there's three guys on this team that are dominating. The Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell. These guys, they have wins, or they have a win. Their most impressive win is over the Bucks. These guys, they're dominating. So far over the Bucks, they had Karl Anthony Towns had 25 points, Anthony Edwards 25 points, D'Angelo Russell 29 points. That's 79 points with your 3 stars. What more can you ask for? It's looking at this league right now. There's so much talent and teams like we thought. The Cavs not going to make the playoffs. The Timberwolves not going to make the playoffs. Maybe some of our lists might have to change. What do you think about the Timberwolves?
So offline with a few other friends, I had the conversation this week about my fringe dark horse, like Western Conference playoff team, and the T Wolves were that team. They have the pieces. It goes beyond the big three.
Yeah.
You bring in Pat Beverly to bring in that veteran presence, but also that defensive presence to that team. You got a few other veterans in Torian Prince on that team. You have just looking at and you're just looking at the whole team, the team as a whole. It just seems like they made the right decisions with some of the people that they've chosen to bring back and some of the people that they've chosen to recommit to. And the reason why I say this is you're starting to hear that there's reports of that the T-Wolves aren't having conversations with the Sixers anymore.
Yeah.
So they believe in what they have up front of them right now. And you want to see them see it through and see if their big three can make a difference. I think that in my mind they could get as high as like the 5th seed, or we could see them in a play-in.
Man, there's so many good teams in the West. It's going to be hard for them, but they're throwing the hat in the ring, and they're definitely, like you said, a dark horse team. I had another team in here that is surprising, but they're surprising in a bad way, and that's the Lakers. The Lakers have been struggling. You have LeBron sitting out with his ankle injury. You have Anthony Davis having some scares. You had Westbrook having a quadruple double, but that's a quadruple double with points, rebounds, assists, and turnovers. The man had 10 turnovers. It's there now. It's a new team. They need more time to gel, but first look, these pieces together don't look like they fit that well. What do you think about the Lakers?
Yeah, it feels a little clunky, but like I don't even think that's the biggest issue. The biggest issue is we have visibly seen frustration, which has led to dysfunction for this
Yes.
team. Obviously, I don't want to go too hard into the unwritten rules, but seeing Westbrook being visibly upset with Beasley
Yep.
on the Thunders for the dunk that he did. Granted, he's right, shouldn't have did the dunk, but granted, you should have never lost a 26-point lead. Like,
Yeah.
like for you to be that upset, like it just I don't understand. It kind of shows a lack of leadership on the coaching side of it. And I
Yep.
think that leads to me start thinking how long before Frank Vogel is held under the microscope and people start saying it's time to look elsewhere, right? You don't have a spat with your star player and one of your solid role players in Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis, because that also shows dysfunction to not just your team, but and your fans, but to the throughout the league that these guys are just not on the same page. Granted, they're saying that it was because of a defensive scheme that went array is why they have their issues like that. But
Yeah.
you've even the Katie and Draymond was blown into smithereens for weeks on weeks about how big it was. And even they didn't touch each other.
Yeah.
These guys physically touched each other on the court, and that's not normal. That's not normal within any team.
Yeah.
In a live game in practice, granted, all blows that happen in practice is not seen. So
Yeah.
you you could do what you want, but like on TNT Thursday night on the season's just begun. I believe it was Tuesday actually, but on TNT's the another on TNT, it just there's a national presence,
Yeah.
exposure. You shouldn't have a spat like that.
That was a huge mess. They that loss to the Thunder, that was really bad. Tonight, this is recording on the 29th of October. The versus the Cavs. We talked the Cavs very highly. I'm very interested to see how this game ends up. Man, the Lakers, they need some help. It's so early, but so far, not so good. The next team I had, we touched on them. We don't have to go too crazy on them. The Hornets, man, the Hornets are looking good. Miles Bridges is going off. This man is probably he has to be the leader for most improved. Um, I never thought out of out of like Miles Bridges, the small forwards coming out of that draft class, Miles Bridges, Kevin Knox, and Mikal Bridges, that Miles Bridges would be the best, or so far. I mean, he's looking like the best one out there. Especially when like he came out and he was mostly just like a dunker, and now we're seeing like this man has a legit jump shot. Uh, phew, they're extremely impressive. And then I'm also glad. I'm glad we had Eric on the podcast because the Warriors. Now, although they lost yesterday, the Warriors they're looking pretty good, and the most so they won all their preseason games. They're now 4-1. Especially, I mean, they beat the Clippers, they beat the Lakers, the Kings, and the Thunder. They looked impressive during those games. What's most impressive to me is that so far they're doing all this and having all this success, but they're not really playing their rookies that they drafted. They had 2 top 10 picks, and they're those guys. They don't need them at the moment, and it's crazy. What do you think about the Warriors so far?
It's impressive what they're doing right now. It's just, I'm sure everybody's getting tired of hearing Stephen A. Smith keep on saying, if Clay comes back, they're winning the championship and everything.
Yeah,
So you've heard that enough, right? But it's impressive to see what they've done without Clay, though. Last year, I think what they suffered from is that they just didn't have they had a lack of guys that really could impact the game. And now they have enough of guys that can impact the game enough, right?
hmm
So because of that, Steph Curry is allowed to be Steph Curry. Draymond is allowed to be Draymond, and it's flowing very, very well for them because of that. So I agree. Moody and Kaminga is not getting the minutes
yeah,
that maybe they deserve, but maybe it's for the best at this point. It's going to take time to integrate them
true.
well into this team because they look like a well-oiled machine right now. So you got to see where you want to fit them in, and they fit in, and they don't feel that they're going to be, not utilized in this offense. I mean,
Yeah.
in this team.
My pick, my